Curt Cignetti is the best coach in college football. Don't believe me? Well, that's fine. That's totally fine. How many national championships has he won versus, well, someone who took over a program that was massive, who had a ton of NIL poured into it, a team that had won national championships in the past, teams that have been historically incredible. Well, if you could compare him on even ground, Curt Cignetti stands head and shoulders above them. I'm going to dive into that in just a second. And you don't have to agree with me, but I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to make it really difficult for you to walk away other than you just wanting to argue. You potentially walk away to at least say, you know what? I'll entertain it now. At least one of the best coaches. Get into that in a second. Welcome to the channel. If you love talking college football, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. It is free. Pass along. Yeah, I really do appreciate it. I love talking college football. This time of the year is just awesome. It's an incredible time. Yesterday, we saw the big conference championships, Indiana and Ohio State. What an incredible game. Then you had embarrassing games like Texas Tech and BYU. If you're a Texas Tech fan, you're thrilled. The SEC, that was crazy. Georgia beat the crap out of Alabama. Alabama with 3 losses and getting the crap beat out of them. They're still in the playoffs, so it really doesn't matter. And then on the other hand, you have the ACC with probably one of the most embarrassing conference champions maybe ever. And they didn't get into the playoff, but it cleared the way for Duke's head coach. So Duke's head coach, Manny Diaz, his former team, he cleared the way for Miami to get into the college football playoff. It was crazy, but you know what? That's part of college football. So if you like that sort of thing, I really do hope you'll subscribe. Let's talk about Curt Cignetti. Now, I'm going to name out some names. These are going to be fighting words to some people, and that's totally fine. That's absolutely fine. I mean, not trying to tick off anyone, but I'm just going to read history. I am going to read history or reference history. I'm going to read this to you. The Georgia Bulldogs. Let's talk about the Bulldogs. Kirby Smart's won 2 national championships. He's one of the very few coaches to win not only one national championship, but multiple national championships. And he was very close to winning a 3rd one, pulling off a 3-peat. I'm not saying Kirby's not a good football coach, but let's talk about the team that Kirby took over. He took over a team that was 9-3 with Mark Richt. He took over a team that historically was a really good, solid football team. Had won a national championship or 2 in the past. 1980 was the last time they had won a national championship before Kirby got there. They had 10-win seasons. They had a 13-win season in 2002. If you just keep scrolling back, you're going to see a lot of wins, especially during the Vince Dooley years. Georgia, hands down, they are a football blue blood. There's no taking that away from them. But which is an easier job, Georgia or Indiana? Well, there's a lot of pressure. I mean, if it's too hot for you, get out of the fire. But there's a difference between taking over Indiana, who I think is, 2nd in all-time FBS losses, and taking over the Georgia Bulldogs, who has a history of winning, and you're also in one of the hottest recruiting beds in all of college football / high school football. Not a bad gig to have. I'm a Clemson fan. I'm not a Georgia fan whatsoever, but Georgia's Georgia. We know this. I mean, it wasn't like Kirby took over Indiana. Let's talk about Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer's no longer in the game. Won 3 national championships. Now, he did work his way up. Cue the Urban Meyer jokes. I always love to hear people talk about Urban Meyer. What a terrible this or that or everything. Guy won 3 national championships. 1 at a school and 2 at another school. But both of those schools he won the national championship at. They're big-time football programs. Florida and Ohio State. Not too shabby of a job to take over. Not too shabby. It's definitely not taking over Indiana. Let's talk about Dan Lanning out at Oregon. His first head coaching job that I know of was Oregon. Now, Lanning can coach. I'm not taking away from the dude. Which is an easier job, Oregon or Indiana? Got Phil Knight out there with Nike just pouring money into it. Man, their newer buildings are their, let me rephrase that. Their old buildings at Oregon is newer than the new buildings at a lot of schools across the country. It's how much money he consistently pours into the school. Not a bad gig. Texas, what a joke. I mean, they have so much money poured into that school, into that program, into their players. And Sark he's a good schemer. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not sold on Sark at all as a head coach. It's different being a schemer and a head coach. Well, they played in the SEC. So did a bunch of other teams. I don't know what the point is. Coaching at Texas versus all the resources at your fingertips, the history, the fan support. Yes, there's pressure. Where there's support and football is important, you're going to have pressure. If you're not big boy enough to deal with it, give all those millions of dollars back. And I'm not saying that towards Sark. I'm saying that towards anyone who wants to have that cop out. Curt Cignetti takes over Indiana. He has given them 2 unbelievable seasons. And last year, we saw them. We saw them last year. We saw them last year go to Columbus and get the crap beat out of them. Now, they had an unbelievable season. For Indiana standards. But everyone, including myself, not everyone, a lot of people thought that was a flash in the pan. We've seen that before. An example is Illinois with Ron Zook. They had Juice Williams, all that bunch of good stuff. And then it was over. Not with Cignetti. In fact, they come back and they're way better than what they were last year. Now, I can sit here and talk about his history. I can talk about him coaching as a wide receivers coach at Alabama. I can talk about him leaving and taking, a D2 job. I can talk about him spending a few years at Elon. I can talk about the 4 years he spent at James Madison. And everyone looks at this guy. Here's something they're not thinking about. While we have all these young whippersnappers who's taking over a job, they're in their 30s or they're in their 40s, and they're taking over jobs like Tulane, and they're taking over jobs like Florida, and they're taking over jobs like, you got to think Lane Kiffin. You would think Lane Kiffin's like in his 60s as long as we've heard the name. Lane Kiffin's only 50 years old, I believe. Curt Cignetti's 64. He has more fire. He has more oomph, whatever it is, than most coaches, whether they're young or old. And he takes over a program that is historically awful. Not kind of bad, not kind of awful. And he goes in, he takes the job, and he produces. Right now, his record is something like 24-2 in 2 years. And now they're the Big Ten champions. They beat Ohio State last night. So this year they beat Oregon at Oregon, did not play a perfect game, won by 10 points. They did not play a perfect game last night, and they won. It was a thriller. This proves, and I'm going to tell you what really gets me fired up to talk about this guy. This guy does not offer excuses, and that's what I like about him. I mean, I have heard more excuses out of coaches who are paid outrageously well. And then they want to talk about how much pressure they have on them. Pause there. Do I believe that they have a lot of pressure on them? Yes. But, sir, ma'am, anyone who's watching me right now, do you have a lot of pressure on you? Some of you tell me, hey, while I'm working third shift, I put you on in my my Bluetooth, maybe sometimes it's AirPods, whatever. And I listen to you while I'm working the night shift. Do you make $10 million a year? Do you? Do you have pressure on you? If you don't do your job of whatever it is, fill in the blank, your bosses call you in and you look at them and say, hey, listen, in the past, I've had success. Hey, you know what? If y'all give me better tools to work with, maybe I'd do a little better around here. They would fire you so fast your head would spin around. More coaches in college football, they are doing nothing but whining. They are whining and they're looking at the common man going, hey, y'all need to feel bad for me. Y'all need to feel really bad for me because I make a lot of money coaching at this school. And it's really, really tough. And I need the donors to do more. I know they give a lot of money already, but I need more out of the donors. And we need to pay our players more. And maybe you're just not that good of a coach. I mean, if the common man has to deal with this and has to hear this, maybe you need to hear it. Maybe you're not worth millions of dollars. Maybe you need to take a job where there's a ton of pressure and the pay doesn't even near compensate because you truly are spoiled. Not everyone works a $5 to $10 million plus a year job. And there's still pressure. There's still expectations. There's still problems where you could have family problems. You could have friend problems. You could have someone, there's things that just everyday life gives you that they have to deal with. And so maybe you need to deal with it. Maybe you need to leave your mansion. Maybe you need to leave your special treatment to realize that you are actually just whining. And Curt Cignetti is not that guy. He takes over an impossible situation. He doesn't take over a 9-3 Georgia Bulldogs team. He doesn't take over a Jim Tressel-led, yes, there's stuff going on, but he doesn't take over the Ohio State Buckeyes like Urban Meyer did. Again, mad respect for Urban. And Kirby can coach. He doesn't take over a Texas team that has more money than small nations actually have. They somehow can't get it done. They can't get it done. They can't. All their players can show up in Lamborghinis and Bugattis, and they still can't get it done. Curt Cignetti can. Curt Cignetti can get it done with a quarterback who was playing for Cal last year that no one knew about except for his family. And apparently, Curt Cignetti can coach himself out of an iron vault welded shut, while other coaches within the college football ranks at massive programs, even some of them who has won, they can't coach themselves out of a wet paper sack with a slight tear in it. There's no excuses with Cignetti. He understands that when he took the job at Indiana, he was not taking over some cushy job that was a blue blood of college football with championships left and right. No. He was taking over one of the least winning teams of all time in all of college football. And there was no excuses. He realized, I have to be able to look at players. My staff and I have to look at players in the transfer portal and go, yeah, get him. He has it, whatever it is. Bring him in. Oh, we're going to scheme for him. Oh, we're going to demand a level of discipline and accountability that other places they really don't give you. He's not happy with just winning a little bit. He didn't break a smile until the game was over. Again, we have coaches everywhere being paid a ton of money. Now, I know he just got a big extension, and good for him. He's one of the few who deserves it. There's a ton of coaches right now who are totally overpaid. I think they forgot how to coach. They complain about the pressure. Go work your common job where you don't make that much money and you still have pressure on you and you still have problems in everyday life to deal with, and then come back and talk to me. I don't want to hear it. Unless something bad happens to you that's truly bad, I really don't want to hear about it. Because what it probably comes down to is you can't coach as well as you think you can. And obviously, as much as the money that's being poured into a lot of these coaches, you're not as good a coach as they thought you were. Cignetti is. You compare his record to jobs that are cushy and they have a history of winning, and he doesn't have his school doesn't have a history of winning, and he is the only variable that has changed. He and his coaching staff, they're the only variable that has changed. Indiana stayed the same, and he changed Indiana. These other schools, a lot of them, they take – can you imagine him at a Miami? Can you imagine Curt Cignetti at Miami? I think he could get it done. Can you imagine Curt Cignetti at a place like LSU? Oh, he's got to play that big SEC schedule? Yeah, I get it. I don't think this man would run from it. Remember, he was a wide receiver coach for Nick Saban, the best coach to coach possibly ever or in the modern era of college football. Curt Cignetti knows exactly what he's doing. There's no excuses. There's no anything that you can blame it on. And right here, Russ Taskett comes in and says, Cindy Lauper saying it best, money changes everything. Yes, money has changed a lot, Russ. But there's also coaches, and there are very few of them, like Cignetti or Clark Lee, who shows up and they coach themselves out of the hole that they took over. They have more coaching ability. Other coaches have more excuses. That's the difference. Tell me in the comment section, what do you think about Curt Cignetti? If you're like, I really don't think that he's that, then what else does he, if he won a national championship this year, would that change your mind on him? Would it? I mean, winning a national championship with Georgia, it is tough because of the SEC, but considering all the resources, it's more doable than Indiana. It's more doable at Texas than Indiana. It's more doable at Miami and Florida. Believe it or not, Florida State than Indiana. It's more doable at Clemson than Indiana. Ohio State, Oregon, Southern Cal, Oklahoma than Indiana. Even Texas Tech has more winning than Indiana. BYU, even with the things they put their players through out there, they have more winning than Indiana. It's easier to win there than Indiana. We saw a bunch of coaches get fired in the offseason. Why? Because no matter how much the donors poured into them, and no matter how much history that their schools has, and no matter even some of them, the rosters that they were returning, it just wasn't good enough, and it was always someone else's fault, not Curt Cignetti. That's why I'm a big fan of his. Let me know in the comments section where I'm right, where I'm wrong, what it will take for you to believe he could be the best coach in college football right now. I didn't say ever. And remember, Saban's not in the game anymore. Urban Meyer's not in the game anymore. So if you're going to bring up, you're better than Saban, didn't say that. Hate to be, if I sound a little condescending there, it's just I've been doing this so long, I know the comments that are going to come into there, and it's comments that I didn't even allude to. So there we go. Let me know in the comment section. Hey, I hope you'll subscribe. It is free. I'm getting very close to 500 subscribers on this young channel, so hope you'll subscribe, pass it along to all your friends, neighbors, and anyone else who loves college football.